Good morning, everybody. I'm Bart Winkler. Look, everyone's journey is different as a Packer fan, but I think we've all come to the same place, and that is the period of grief. And that means everyone's grief is going to be a little different as well. Mine is bad. I'm kind of surprised by that since I hated this team, but I think it's the buildup of the last couple of years. I'm really having a hard time with the fact that 3 years in a row, the Packers lost an elimination game at home. And all of the games were basically the same. I mean, this Lions game compared to the Niners game last year, the Buccaneers game had a few more points, but it's, the defense did their job, and then offensively we stalled. And the defense did their job for the most part on Sunday night. But Rodgers, man, I've been talking for, a long time about this guy. Can you imagine if the Packers never won that Super Bowl and how improbable that Super Bowl was to win? Barely got in the playoffs, had to go on the road 3 times, beat Pittsburgh, which that was a game that could have got away from them. Thank God for that fumble. Clay Matthews, it is time. But what would the circumstances be like? Would Rodgers have been able to get away with as much as he's gotten away with in the last decade if they never had that one Super Bowl? But again, that Super Bowl was so long ago. The Super Bowl was, a lifetime ago. Think of where you were that day. Think of how many people have come in and out of your life. Think of the changes in your life. Think of maybe how many kids you've had since then, how many kids your kids have had, the relationships that, wilted, the relationships that got stronger, career change, city changes. We keep acting like the Super Bowl was in our back seat. It is so far in the rearview mirror, man. It is so far. And yet Rodgers seemingly can do whatever he wants whenever he wants. And I think as I look back at the season, I think, man, I didn't enjoy it. I mean, that was clear. I didn't enjoy the actual football. I enjoyed doing this. This was a good release. But they were, man, losing to Washington, losing to the Jets, losing to the Giants in a game that you should have had. And they lost a lot of these, you can't lose this game. You can't lose in London. There's no way. You can't lose to the Jets. You can't lose to the Lions week 17. And I did start to feel, because if you go back and listen to last week's show after the Vikings win, it wasn't celebrating that we beat the Vikings. It was that, but it was also we were celebrating that we were going to make the playoffs. Because of course we were. Of course the Packers were going to make the playoffs. And so I think of the different times this year where I legitimately rooted against them. I wanted McCarthy to stick it to Rodgers. Sorry. What am I supposed to do? I wanted the Dolphins to beat us so that we could move on to Jordan Love. But then when the situation became clear, because I thought the season was over. Minor side note, I don't have to eat a toy anymore. But I thought the season was over, so I want to see Jordan Love. Well, guess what? The season wasn't over. And so once they had a position to make the playoffs, I was back in. And I think that's what you do. What's best for your team at the time? What's best for your team? Bears fans were going crazy for a loss this weekend because they had the chance at the number 1 pick, and then somehow they got it. Thanks to their old friend Lovie Smith. I do think a lot about what Spark Guy said on one of these not too long ago, where if you're the fan of the NFC North, the last decade was not that bad. It was not that bad for you. Yeah, the Lions have won nothing, and the Vikings won a division around game one time, and the Bears really haven't done anything. But every year, you have no expectations, and so the lows aren't too low and the highs aren't too high. And then your rival, the Packers, have massive expectations, and even when they're out of it, their quarterback won't shut up, and he's like, oh, no, we have a chance. And then they do have a chance, and then they fall all the time. I'm going to take great joy. I'm going to say if and when the Vikings lose. I don't want to jinx anything one way or the other. But I'll take great joy in that. But will I be as obnoxious as some of these other people? I had a Vikings friend on Facebook at noon on Monday say, just thinking about Quay Walker, Packers are dirty. Well, Quay did something dirty. That doesn't mean the Packers are dirty. And why are you thinking about that? Your team's in the playoffs. Who cares? Adam Rank of NFL Network, one of my arch nemesis. Oh, kind of a bummer. I won't get to see the annual tradition of the Niners eliminating the Packers from the playoffs. All right, that has happened 2 of the last 3 years. I wouldn't say that's annual. You stupid fuck. I hate that guy because he's a Bears fan who these people don't like. I'm a Packers fan who tells you I'm a Packers fan who celebrates the demise of my other rivals. These people are Bears fans and Vikings fans who you only find that out because of the demise, how much they celebrate. And then they're like, oh, yeah, I like the Bears. Well, don't ask me about the Bears. Like, I'm a West Ham fan, and we're so irrelevant in the Premier League. It'd be like if my whole identity was shitting on Arsenal or Liverpool or something. Well, what about your team? No, it doesn't matter. Just your team. Well, okay. I mean, that's one way to live life. It's a stupid way. But that's gotten Adam Rank to be a fantasy expert. Some guy, I'm still thinking about some guy who's like, I blocked Winkler a long time ago because he doesn't know anything more than any of us. He just says stuff. Yeah, that's what everyone does on the TV. You think Stephen A. Smith knows more basketball than you? I mean, unless you played the game. And that's why a lot of the jobs go to guys that play the game. If they can hack it as a broadcaster, that's the obvious answer. But if you're just like some pundit, I mean, just I don't. It's not. Yeah, you're right, guy. So just Packers all season. I am in 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. I'm not in denial. I'm certainly not. I might be in anger still. Good buddy, and we might talk about this. We might not, but good buddy Paul Immig has been sending me different funny things that Jamal Williams has said, like his intro and his post-game comments and stuff. Look, I love Jamal Williams, but I'm not gonna like. I don't care about Jamal Williams right now. It's 2 days after the Packers lost. I do not care about how cool Jamal Williams is, and he's very cool. He's very funny, and we all love him. But right now, I do not care. So that might be anger, bargaining. I don't know. They were never going to win this season. I'm not going to, I might skip bargaining. Actually, I might just be in depression. I might be in acceptance. I don't know. What if you don't know what stage you're in? I see a lot of people I don't know what stage this is, but I can't, like, can we just let it sink in for a couple days? The last thing I want to do when you get eliminated from the playoffs is the next day talk about who are we going to draft and what's this contract going to look like and who are we going to like. I understand the desire to want to look ahead and get this one behind them, but I would just like to sit in my sulk for a little bit. Okay, I just want to like be sad about the thing I'm sad about before I start looking about what Preston Smith's contract extension number is going to be. Just take a day. Take a flipping day. All right. Got some voicemails I want to play. Going to check in with Tobi Altizer coming up. So I stopped into Happy Place Hemp last week, College Court, Muskego, happyplacehemp.com. Promo code's Bart. And we were pretty high on Green Bay's chances of making a run. So we had decided that however many points they score, that'll be how many, that'll be the percentage off of like the new, like a special. We're going to run a special this week. Happyplacehemp.com, promo code Bart. So we should have done it after the Vikings game, maybe. Green Bay puts up 16 points. So the promo code gets you 25% off right now. I'm not going to say 16% off. So we're going to double it, the 16. So this week at happyplacehemp.com with the promo code Bart, it's 32% off. So we'll save you a couple more bucks. Green Bay's agony to help you get through the grief is going to save you a couple more dollars. Hey, it could have been more, Blame Green Bay for sucking. 32% off. That's a third off. A fuzzy math, but that's a third off the price. So if you're low on some, if you want to stock up on some, now is always a good time to stock up. If you want to try some of the different stuff, you can go ahead and do that. If you live in Iowa and finally figured out how this works, you can go ahead and do that. I took 2 of the CBD CBNs to help me sleep, but I took 2, and I was Sunday night's postgame really actually funny, or was I just in a good mood? I'm still trying to figure that one out. I think it was funny, but I was a giggle monster. But I had a good time. I had a great, for as bad as that game was and going to that game, I did have an enjoyable time on the postgame show. So hopefully we can keep that going through Buck stuff, and we'll find different reasons to go live throughout the year. And because I think that's, for me, the best part of this is meeting people and seeing where you guys are at, and that's the best part. And that's, hey, no cap on that one, okay? No cap. I'm cool. We'll be back. Got some voicemails. Got some Tobis coming up. And we're back. Voicemails brought to you by Carl's Place, 402-915-BART, 402-915-BART. Of course, the first voicemail I want to hear from is John in Franklin. He called Monday morning. John in Franklin. Carl's Place brings you the voicemails. carlofet.com/Bart. Play around on there a little bit. They've got golf simulators that you can just put into your house. A lot of people customize them. They've got a showroom where you can test things out. That's in Milton. Otherwise, you can do a lot of stuff virtually too. But if you've got room in a golf simulator, and Wisconsin and the weather, and I know it's like 40 degrees, and I was windows down on the way back from Green Bay. But we know what it's like around here. So check that out, carlofet.com/Bart. Check out what they've got to offer. They bring you the voicemail line. Here's John in Franklin.
This is John in Franklin calling Monday morning after the Packer game. If your daughters, sons, or wives are within range of the media source you're listening to this on, you may want to clear them out, because I don't know where this is going. What the hell was that? Somebody tell me what the hell I just watched. A field goal kicking contest? Is that what we are with our offense? Hall of Fame? Huh? That's what we're going to do. We're going to kick field goals to the point where our kicker is so tired out he can't get him up to the crossbar at 48. What a flippin' joke. What a flippin' joke, and I'm going to be walking all week with a limp because of the hitting send on my Venmo account, because I was on the bus with you, buddy. Rode it right over the bridge into the bay. This, as fan base, we deserve better than this. And the hell with the season ticket holders that sold all those stupid Lion fans their tickets so they could watch their horrible team catch a 9-8 record. Congratulations. Well done. It was well done. How do we get pushed around the field? How do we get stupid penalties? Stupid penalties. This isn't Coach Soft Talk getting his troops fired up and they're just too full of energy and ready to go after the opponent. These are stupid mistakes by 7, 29. Aaron Jones fumbling the ball, heading in for a score. A repeat of what we did last time we played these clowns. And now these guys got us. And where are we going? You think it's going to be better next year? Keep hoping. I got more to say. I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you tomorrow when I can get my thoughts together. But I found it kind of comical the way Coach Soft Talk sprinted into the locker room at halftime. I think he was peeing his pants is what I think, because he got out-coached by Dan Campbell and the little engine that could. I'm out.
John and Franklin. Always great stuff. There were a lot of Lions fans there, but it was in it was in the lower half of the bowl. But there was a lot of Honolulu blue, a lot of it. Again, I was on the inside. I was at the game in a club seat. I got it through a hookup of a thing. But again, they play the radio broadcast in there the entire time. I just don't understand it. And it's so loud. It's like it's a selling point of why you sit in there. That's what it is. This has nothing to do with the radio broadcast and critiquing it or anything. This is to do with the experience of I'm in there. I want to hear the crowd still. I'm away from the crowd, but I want to hear the crowd. You can't hear anything. You honestly can't hear anything. We're outside the stadium. If there's a big play, you can hear it. You can hear the crowd. You're in the stadium, but that glass is so soundproof you can't hear anything because they got Wayne blasted to 11. I honestly don't understand. I'm going to email the Packers. I'm going to email Mark Murphy and ask to be in his Murphy Takes 5. And we will hear from evil Mark Murphy coming up. If not this week, then next. Austin paid me to do it, so I got to do it. But I don't understand. I honestly don't get it. And you might just be like, oh, Bart, you're in a box. Well, why complain? You have to have this experience to know how awful it was. Awful. And everybody was talking, like, they'd say something on the broadcast. John Kuhn was like, oh, nobody's sitting down out there. Everyone would be like, people are sitting down. I'm sitting down. It was just awful. That enhanced the experience for nobody. So I don't get it. I got a first time, long time here.
Hey, Bart. First time, long time. KB from the north side. I just wanted to chime in on the Packers situation. It's the leadership, man. Man of the floor, pretty boy, beta male. Cannot lead a football team full of mutant human beings playing against people that want to rip their fucking heads off. You can't have a pretty boy with shaped up motherfucking eyebrows leading us out there. The Green Bay Packers. Frozen tundra, gridiron. Motherfucking Ray Nitschke. We got Matt LaFleur. Mark Murphy. He looks like the dude from Mad TV from back in the day.
He does.
He's got to go. I don't know how we get rid of him. If you're an owner, you threw him $600 or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know how we get rid of him. Rodgers, old, washed, ayahuasca fucked his brain up. It's tough. We got to keep battling, head up. Jordan Love might be nuts. Throws a good-looking ball. Guy's got a cannon. We need 2 new running backs. We got receivers, and we need a tight end. Defense, okay. Number 7 will be all right. He's just a hothead. We can forgive him for that. Fuck the trainer. Kind of got in the way. Fuck that guy. Shout out to the trainers, though. They're big.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
Yeah, you just don't push a trainer, especially this week. KB, don't be a stranger or a foreigner. That was a great call. Here's Matt in the Falls giving me the It's Me routine, which I'd say he might have earned. Hey, guys getting recognized from our YouTube stream in freezer sections at the grocery store. He can do the It's Me.
Hey, Bart, it's me. Just quick thought. Listening to last night's stream, and we're talking about how Rodgers has lost 3 years in a row at home in cold weather. And it's dawned on me that this lauded Packers frozen tundra home field advantage, nobody wants to go into Lambeau and play in the cold. That has nothing to do with the Packers. It has nothing to do with Lambeau. That was 100% Brett Favre. Brett Favre is the toughest piece of shit that has ever played football. He has no feelings in his extremities or his heart. And he single-handedly willed the Packers to win and to, garner that reputation that, nobody wants to go in a Lambeau in the cold. Because, now we got California Rodgers. I mean, Brett Favre's from Mississippi, but Brett Favre was a different kind of guy. And, like I said, he's a piece of shit, but he was so tough and he went out there and he did things that nobody else could do in that weather. And I think that's just my point, is that it wasn't the Packers, it wasn't Lambeau, it was Favre. That was our advantage, and that's gone forever. So we could just get rid of this, frozen tundra crap. Yeah.
I think a lot about I was at a buddy's, it was high school, it was senior year of high school for me when they lost to Michael Vick and the Falcons, and it was the Lambeau mystique, and we were stunned that somebody came in there into Lambeau and not just beat us, but beat us soundly. Since then, that Falcons season ended, so that's 1. Vikings beat us at home, that's 2. NFC Championship against the Giants, that's 3. Another one to the Giants, that's 4. Wild card playoff loss to the Niners in 13, that's 5. That was Kaepernick. And then Buccaneers and Niners, so that's 7. And then 8. I'm going to count Sunday as a playoff game. So 8 seasons ended at Lambeau in the last 20 years, which is actually pretty unheard of. The amount of seasons that ended, and so the non-playoff seasons don't count, but at Eagles, at Giants, at Niners, it's like 8 to 7. Seven seasons have ended on the road if they made the playoffs. 1 season ended with the Super Bowl. 8 seasons ended at home. That's a 500 clip, whether you count Sunday or not. That's no home field advantage. That is no Lambeau mystique. It is dead. It is absolutely dead. I mean, there was a lot of Lions fans last day. They didn't care. Their team got bounced. I talked to a Lions fan about that before the game. I was rooting for the Seahawks to lose because I wanted Packers-Lions to feel like a playoff game. And we can talk about my Dan Campbell thing. Look, the tweet I said where the Lions are going to come out lifeless like the Raiders, pick on me for that one. Because Dan Campbell's, okay, the Lions, they're a more functional team than that. So I'll admit my wrong there. But Dan Campbell didn't do anything special until 2 minutes left in the game. So if you were a Packer fan rooting for the Lions, you didn't want them to have nothing to play for because they'd be more scary if they had something to play for. What you were afraid of is the game was going to come down to the last 2 minutes. And it did. So I guess you were right. God, I suck. I talked to a Lions fan at D2 before the game.
Okay, I'm Bart. This is Christian. We look like brothers. Hey, I'm rooting for Rams. Yeah, me too. I want tonight to mean something. Yeah. How Packers are winning in. How excruciating is it for you to watch this bullshit game before we go to the bullshit game tonight?
The fact that there's even that, like, the Lions are, like, even able to do it after us being 1-6 is, I wanted to go. This is my birthday present for my wife, who's a Packers fan.
Great woman.
So, yeah, a beautiful, wonderful woman. My thing is I just want the Rams to win so that this game is like a one in for
like a real game.
Yeah. I think that the Lions are a better team than everyone thought they would be, like, at the beginning of the year. And
okay, let me ask you this. A lot of my loser Packer fan friends think the Lions will try harder if they're eliminated because Dan Campbell
absolutely. I
can
agree.
also trick plays.
Well, I agree. I like, without a doubt. There's no way that right now that anyone on the Lions knows what's going on in the game right now with the Rams. Dan Campbell is such a good coach. He probably has it that you were fired if you tell anyone. He's a winner. He doesn't give a fuck, dude. He hasn't been trying to. Let me tell you something right now. All your fucking friends over here are telling me right now that, like, they don't want to play the 49ers in the playoffs.
Oh, I don't like it any Steve-O.
Yeah, no, but, like, you got to get to the playoffs first.
I agree.
And God, I love this guy. They haven't got to the playoffs yet, dude.
No, we haven't.
We're not talking about winning the playoffs. We're talking about winning our game tonight, right now.
Good luck in overtime. Good luck tonight. Bad luck. Bad luck. Good luck.
All right, so they obviously Seahawks won. Geno Smith gets like $1 million extra because of that, because he played 80% of the snaps and they made the playoffs. So that was one of his incentives. But yeah, that was my guy Christian. So I wonder how good his night was. Probably pretty good. See, they go out on a high. Wouldn't it have been better if Jordan Love was just the quarterback for the last 3 weeks, and on week 17, for no reason, we played a game at noon and Jordan Love won and we went out on a high, and then we got to go watch Jaguars Titans at night and it was a good game and we're like, okay, I guess we can get into the playoffs. It would have been better than this. I think so. Got one more voicemail here from a number I do not recognize, but I'll play it. Here we go.
How are you doing this morning? My name is George Nash Jr. I'm working with a group of concerned volunteers. We were just sharing a positive thought with our neighbors. We're calling out of concern to see how you and your family were doing this morning. I'm not a telemarketer affiliated with any political organization. I'm sure, like many people, you've been watching what's been happening in the world, and there's a situation in Ukraine and Russia, and there's even the situation here in Milwaukee is pretty livid. We were actually asking a question: why can we be hopeful about the future? And we know that Jesus taught his followers to pray for God's kingdom.
Whoa, okay, wait a minute.
At Matthew the 6th chapter, verses 9 and 10.
Hold on. I do have the transcription. Matthew 8. Oh, this is a Jehovah's Witness. Wow. Hey. My voicemail made it. My voicemail phone number now gets calls from the Jehovah's Witnesses. 402-915 Fuck yeah. Tobi Altizer coming up. My guy Tobi Altizer. It's good to see you.
It's been a while. Been a little while.
Yeah, Warriors Bucks is when I saw you, right?
Yeah, been a while since we talked on here, though.
Well, yeah, you've been dogging me. Nah, just kidding. Tobi's a busy man.
Yeah, I've been going all over the place, doing all types of things, like sitting at home and doing nothing.
Yeah, sometimes he sits in his bedroom. Sometimes he sits in the living room.
Yeah, sometimes I sit in the bathroom as well.
Yeah, sometimes he goes in there. Just you never know what room you're going to catch Tobi in. So obviously we talk Packers, but you people know you're a Washington guy. How about that? How about the way this season ended? You've got the Washington Commanders that can go into the end of the season and the offseason saying, you know, we beat the Cowboys. We were 8-1. We still don't know who our quarterback is. That was kind of a disaster, but that Sam Howell guy looked all right. Finally, Jarrett Patterson played. I love that kid out in Buffalo. And, you know, there's reason to, like, look forward to next year. And he ended with a win. For the Packers, I mean, both of us were on a trajectory to maybe make the playoffs. Washington didn't. Packers didn't either. But the Packers are like, Rodgers comes off the field and stages a picture with Cobb. He knew what he was doing. Now we got to do retirement crap.
He's coming back, by the way. Rodgers,
I know he is.
Yeah. And everyone's going to read into all the stuff that happened after the game and always arm in arm with Cobb. It's because Cobb's probably done. And then they're going to read into, oh, he told Jameson Williams, I got to hang on to the jersey. Yeah, because he's probably going to give that to Cobb or Crosby or someone else.
Mallory.
Maybe Mallory. He's going to give it to someone else. Or he's keeping it.
Probably slept in it Sunday night when they were.
He's not giving it to a rookie wide receiver over one of his friends or his girlfriend or whatever he's giving it to. So no big deal. Rodgers will be back next year.
Yeah, it's not like J.J. Watt asked him on his last game ever. It was Jameson Williams.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be different if Jamal Williams asked him and he said no, then maybe.
At first, someone told me Williams, and I was like, oh okay, you turned on Jamal? No, it's Jameson Williams.
Yeah, so who cares? That's not, no. A whole lot of nothing. We're going to go through a lot of speculation, but Rodgers will be back. So
I think what Rodgers, I do think that he had a worse quarterback rating than Jared Goff. He had a terrible interception, almost a second terrible interception, which was a complete bailout.
The weird thing that Rodgers had this year is throughout his entire career, he's been elite at basically a lot of things, but the one thing more so than anything else, any other quarterback in NFL history, is limiting turnovers and not throwing interceptions, and that didn't seem to be the case this year because he could have been picked off 3 times in that game with everything on the line against the Lions, and he throws 3 arm punts basically, and I don't know what he's seeing in those because you know he's sitting back there deep and he just lofts the ball so high that any safety in the NFL can get over there and make a play on it. So I don't know what's going on with Rodgers that he kept doing that. But at the same point, you saw some throws that he made that you're like, all right, Rodgers has still got it. Maybe he's not the same guy that we saw win back-to-back MVPs anymore. But, I mean, the throw he had to Dobbs down the right sideline, he basically threw the ball into his chest on a full sprint down the sideline like he was handing it off to him, and Dobbs dropped it. I mean, you have A.J. Dillon where Rodgers buys some time and he hits Dillon in the hands. Would have been
I forgot about that. Oh, my God.
Those are drive killers, and as much as you want to blame Rodgers, there's definitely cases where he wasn't good. You mentioned the interception, some other throws he missed. But those sort of things, when the guys aren't all working together, I think that encapsulates the season. You know, I think that's how it was all year long for the Packers, was they were right there at times. But when it came down to it, whether it was Rodgers, whether it was the other guys, they just didn't make the plays necessary. And I think once you get some of the experience back for next year with the guys like Watson and Dobbs, maybe get a little more chemistry, I think you'll be back to winning 10 games. I don't know if it'll be back to winning getting to NFC championships games, though, and winning Super Bowls. So we'll see about that.
Well, that's the thing, too, is I think in these 2 minutes here or whatever, we critiqued Rodgers. I mean, there were some, obviously, you brought him up, things that weren't his fault, but there were some things that were. I think when he does stuff like this, it's to deflect from it so that, because I think the 2 minutes that we just spent, I would bet were more than Milwaukee radio spent on critiquing Rodgers, because it's all going to be about the retirement stuff. It's all going to be about what did he say and what did he mean and why did he do, and instead of us talking about the specific game, or really what I think the bigger issue is the fact that they've lost now 3 years in a row an elimination game at home. At home. And I just played a voicemail from Matt in the Falls. He says the Lambeau mystique was never Lambeau mystique. It was Favre mystique. And now you've got Rodgers and whatever's going on. And some of that was with Favre, though. I looked the last 20 years, and this was real quick math, and I didn't fact check, and I didn't prep. I was doing it on the fly, as I do. But if the season ended, let's say they made the playoffs 16 of the last 20 years or so, and I'm including this year as making the playoffs, 1 ended in a Super Bowl, 7 ended on the road, but 8 ended at Lambeau. At Lambeau, where Rodgers has always wanted one of these things, an NFC Championship game. Tom Brady throws 3 interceptions, they lose. In a half, they lose that game. And then this year, this game looked a lot like last year's game where it was cold and Rodgers couldn't get anything going, and they're settling for field goals. And, oh, my God, Mason Crosby, I know he made a couple, but every kick looked like more like – I would describe – if I was doing a show with Chuck Freeman today, I would say, Chuck, you know how you think I have a limp handshake? Mason Crosby kicks like the limp handshake that you think I have, where I'm like, I mean, this is terrible.
Real quick, because, you know, we've seen this week of football especially, you kind of see more of the human side of the guys again, just because of all the things that happened with DeMar Hamlin, and it sounds like he's headed back to Buffalo now, so glad everything's going well for him, and hopefully he gets a full recovery. But you think about some of those things, and people with Aaron Rodgers, you get really frustrated. And I understand it as a fan, but you have to think about the reason that he does some of these things too. Like, this guy's a sentimental guy. It's very obvious that that's the case. Every chance he gets, it seems like he can get emotional about something. And he loves Green Bay. He loves the history of football. He loves his own legacy. And when he comes out and in 3 straight seasons lays a dud at home with a chance to really cement his legacy as better than being up there with Bart Starr and passing Brett Favre as being the great quarterbacks to play for the Green Bay Packers, and he comes up short, I think it really cuts him deep when he sees the Packers fan base and he sees the media getting on him for falling short. And I think that is why maybe he deflects or adds drama, because I don't know. It's a human thing that you can only handle so much. And I don't know if he can handle all of this. Not to say that this is an excuse for Aaron to play bad in these situations or anything, and not saying that he shouldn't be able to handle it. But I think at some point for him, it does get a little bit difficult. And that's maybe why you have to deal with some of the stuff.
Well, it's the same shit I've seen Favre do, you know? Favre, he
Well, I think
loses.
Favre, like, I don't know that he had any idea what he was doing. He's just flying by the seat of his pants. I think.
Yeah, maybe he really didn't. Favre just didn't want to go to training camp.
Yeah, I think Rodgers is calculated on a lot of things. I mean, he's very thoughtful in what he does. I think Favre was just like, I don't feel like doing this, and then next thing you know, his mind changes, and he just does whatever he wants.
I'm very disappointed in my beloved Packers. I'm very disappointed in this team. I did get an email as we're talking here. Odds. Will Aaron Rodgers announce his retirement before week 1 of the 2023 NFL season? These are from betonline.ag. Yes, plus 250. No, minus 400. So Vegas does not think Rodgers is retiring, and Vegas knows. Then it also has his next team, if not Green Bay. Raiders 4-1, Colts 5-1, Jets 5-1, Titans 5-1, Panthers 7-1, Niners 8-1. So mostly teams that need quarterbacks. The Raiders because of the Devontae connection. The Niners eventually because that's where he's from, I guess. Commanders, by the way, are 9-1.
Nice.
I don't know. I was trying to explain this to Imig, and I think we're going to talk more about it tomorrow. But I want desperately for Aaron Rodgers to retire, desperately, so that Jordan Love plays. However, if I'm presented the option, okay, either Rodgers retires or no, what am I saying? Either Rodgers is back here next year. Like retirement's not an option, Bart. Okay, not a door. He's either back here next year or he's playing for another team week 1. Give him to me. I would rather have him here.
Well,
because I don't want to have to. I don't want to have to worry about my team. And then this is the thing we went through with Favre. You're worried about the Packers, but also you have to pay attention to what Favre. You had to pay attention to what he was doing, and even if you tried not, Bart, just don't look at it. You can't avoid it. So I don't want 2 streams of Rodgers. I got Packers stream and Rodgers, and then it's going to break off. I'm going to have 2 streams. Just ignore Rodgers. Yeah. Oh, you just ignore Rodgers. You can't.
It's the same thing that happened with Devontae this year. Everybody was keeping tabs on the Raiders, and it's going to be 100 times worse if Rodgers is somewhere else because you're going to be watching every single throw and be like, man, that guy could be in green and gold still. So I don't think he'll go anywhere. And I know a lot of people are like, well, he's going to leave a lot of money on the table. How can you if he were to go somewhere else or to retire? And that stuff's obviously true. And then you're like, okay, so maybe is there a way to move on or trade him? And since he's here, there's not a whole lot of cap space. Well, the problem is with the way his contract is, even if you were to move him for something, he's still handicapping your roster or handcuffing your roster on what you're able to put out there because he's still going to be a lot of dead cap space. So no matter what happens, Aaron Rodgers is going to have an effect on the Green Bay Packers roster next season, whether he plays or not, and whether he plays for the Packers or not.
Do you have a better understanding of why, when you first started like working with me, why I hate him so much and why I've always been begging to get off this ride?
I understand why you feel that way. I guess since I'm not truly a Packers fan, I don't fully understand it.
The guy won a Super Bowl 12 years ago, and we keep treating him like he won it 4 days ago. We give him all the spoils. We give him every contract we want. Hey, I want a contract extension. Well, you're under contract. Yeah, but those other guys are paid higher than me. Okay, well, here you go. Oh, by the way, could you make it so like I can't get traded? Well, how do you want to do that? Just a shitload of dead cap. Oh, okay. Why are we doing this?
I mean, that's
right onto this idiot. He doesn't do anything for us. He won a Super Bowl 12 years ago.
That's how a lot of guys operate in the league. So
Bears fans and Vikings fans and Lions fans, do you understand that their last 10 years have been more enjoyable than mine? Because I have huge expectations and heartbreaking failures. They have no expectations.
Yeah.
We just get the Vikings celebrate a divisional round win like it was a Super Bowl. They don't care. The Bears got the number 1 pick somehow. They don't care. The Lions went 9-8. They're on top of the moon. And here we are.
I don't know if I've ever seen a team more joyful in getting the number 1 pick than the Chicago Bears were all year, and that they could talk about how Fields looked so good and they lost every game.
The odds on that, by the way, will the Bears trade the first overall pick? Yes, minus 180, no plus 140. So the Vegas thinks it's a 2-1 chance that the Bears will trade the pick. I think what they need to do is tell Justin Fields right now, you're our guy. We love you, but we are going to float so much shit out there that we don't. And we want people to think we're taking Bryce Young.
Yes.
And we're going to put so much out there. We're going to like accidentally unfollow you on Instagram for the day before the draft. It's going to be bonkers, but we're doing it for you. We're going to do it to get you better. And we're going to keep the number 1 pick, and we're taking Will Anderson, and they should go home.
Well, the other thing you got to do, you figure if you're the Bears, is you got to figure out how much people would give you for Justin Fields. Like, it's tough to do because it's obviously people you're dealing with, and if that gets out and you fracture a relationship there, but I mean, come on, if someone's willing to give you a lot for Justin Fields, and then you can just take Bryce Young with that first pick, I mean, come on.
Yeah, I guess if the Bears, if they do want to trade, it's not like they have Josh Rosen and they want Kyler Murray. Nobody wanted Josh Rosen. He sucked. But the Bears, yeah, they could either flip the pick or they could flip Fields. Ultimately, I think they trade down to like 2 or 3. End up with Will Anderson.
Here's an idea for you. Baltimore has to decide if they're going to pay Lamar Jackson or not. What if they decide they don't want to pay Lamar Jackson? They trade a couple picks, get Justin Fields over there.
And then the Bears get Lamar Jackson?
No, Lamar goes to free agency.
Oh. Ooh.
Because think about it. You pay Lamar $40 a year, or you get 3 more years of Justin Fields on a rookie contract. And right now, you could argue that Justin Fields is just as good a runner as Lamar. It's just about passing the football, but they don't pass the ball in Baltimore anyways.
Do you know that when you go to the game and you sit in the club seat, the radio broadcast is on the entire time?
Do you like it or you dislike it?
Oh, it was awful. It was the worst. And I don't know who asked for it either. I don't know who benefits, but I'm pretty salty about it. I'm going to keep bringing it up. Not to brag that I was in a club seat because it was awful. I mean, I had a good time with my brother-in-law. That's who I went with. I thank him for he did good at his job, so he got a ticket, and then I got to go with him. But
see, that's one thing I enjoy about Brewers games sometimes when you sit up a little closer to the concourse is that you can hear uke in the concourse.
Yeah, but your brain can like hear uke if it wants to or fade it out if it doesn't.
Yeah.
This, like the way that it was pumped into the speakers, Larrabee was basically sitting next to me. It was awful. And it's not against Wayne, even though I thought he was a little too complimentary of the Lions just because I heard the whole broadcast. So, and I think he hates me. But whatever. So, the NFL playoffs this weekend, I'm still super jacked for them. I know that the Packers are out. Don't care. I love the playoffs. I'm going to find a lot of monetary reasons to be invested in this as well.
Sure.
I thought that if I were to have predicted and slotted which game would go where, I would have gotten every single game wrong. This playoff schedule is so weird.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it now. I think Packers-Niners was going to be the Sunday night game. And then it's Seattle-Niners. So they're like, give me the Chargers in Jacksonville, I guess. Let's right or wrong from them. But that's weird that it's Sunday night or Saturday night. Miami-Buffalo, I thought might get a primetime slot. New York, Minnesota, it seemed like it was going to be Monday night. Baltimore, Cincinnati. Is Lamar playing? Do we know yet?
I think he is, but I have no idea.
Because then it's worthy of primetime. If we got to see what we saw last weekend, it's not. And then Dallas, Tampa Bay, I thought they would have sold,
Yeah. Well, and
Sean Hannity to get that game.
I don't know that there's a whole lot of marquee matchups, it feels like, in this first round, except for Buccaneers and America's team, and Tom Brady versus the Cowboys. So
yeah, a lot of these games are that Sunday 3:30 warm-up game.
Yeah, it's like who cares about Vikings and Giants? Like,
nobody cares. Miami's going to get steamrolled by Buffalo.
San Francisco, I would think, is going to roll through Seattle.
They're going to roll Seattle. The Jacksonville Charger game is going to be like interesting, but that doesn't mean it's going to be good.
Because all week long, everyone's going to push it's Trevor Lawrence versus Justin Herbert. Come on. And the one thing that I saw from all the people was Trevor Lawrence had turned the corner, and he was
terrible Saturday.
Terrible. And he got bailed out by his defense and the referees a little bit on that fumble return for a touchdown, because otherwise, if he missed Zay Jones for that wide open touchdown and they didn't go to the playoffs because of that, he would have been hearing it.
So who are you rooting for? What Super Bowl do you want?
I'm a big Patrick Mahomes fan, so I generally cheer for Patrick, but I have no idea. To be honest with you, it's hard not to think that the coolest thing that could happen for this NFL season is seeing DeMar Hamlin lift up a Lombardi trophy.
Yeah. Can he? He's not gonna he can't play, can he?
There's no way he's playing, but I'd assume if everything's right with his health, even
but
if
they would suit him up and let him out there for a snap at the Super Bowl. Do you think?
I doubt it, dude. I don't think you can put him on the field. But I think even if it's just him back at the Bills facility with that thing, whatever it is, I think that would be an incredibly cool.
Like if they win the Super Bowl and they go victory formation, he can be the guy standing in the back.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
They'd have to put him on the roster, blah, 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 shibidoo.
He'd be out there for the coin toss.
So I'm rooting the hardest against Minnesota.
I'm rooting against Dallas.
I'm rooting for. I want to see Dallas Buffalo. I want to see the Super Bowl. This was like the first, not the first Super Bowl I have memories of, but the first Super Bowl I was like super invested in because I hated Dallas and I wanted Buffalo so bad. I want to see that. If I can't see Super Bowls with the Packers, I want to see Super Bowls that remind me of Super Bowls of my youth. Maybe Giants Bills would be one.
I want to see Kansas City or Buffalo, and
maybe Niners Cincy could be one.
On the NFC side, I don't like any of the teams that are in. So to be honest with you, if there were a team that I decently like on this side, it is the Vikings, just because I like Kirk. But
so then, who do you think goes to the Super Bowl?
Probably.
I think a lot of people are on San Fran. I think they wrote off Philly.
I feel like Philly's better than what they played like over the last month. Jalen Hurts can get healthy, but they didn't look super impressive the last week. San Francisco, they're intriguing because they got all the talent, but I mean, I think Brock Purdy's a nice story, but I think we're acting like Brock Purdy is actually a good quarterback and not just a game manager. Like, if it comes down to it and they have to win a game and Purdy has to take them on a drive, do you think Purdy's doing it? I don't.
No.
So I feel like San Francisco, they're a nice story. If they get Garoppolo back in the NFC Championship game against Philadelphia, then sure, I think San Francisco can do it. But to be honest with you, when I look at the NFC, I don't know that it matters. Whoever comes out of the AFC is probably going to steamroll them in the Super Bowl.
Horvat, text me if I want to win-loss the Packers schedule for next year. Hey, at least they got a third-place schedule. I put 8-9 with Rodgers, 10-7 with Love.
Hey, can we talk about the fact in Commanders history, the Commanders have a better record than the Green Bay Packers? 8-1, 8-9.
Yeah, congrats to you. Did Rivera really not know they were eliminated?
I don't think so. In a 17-game season, Washington found a way to go 500.
Why did they play Carson Wentz? Why were you to be so mad?
I was mad after he threw a couple picks. I didn't think it was a terrible choice, but I thought they should have had a short leash to make the change. My opinion on that thing was you play Heineke until it's obvious that you need to take him out. And I thought when they took him out in that Niners game, it was the right choice. And then to decide to start him the next week, I was like, all right, well, he can start. Let's just see what happens. But pretty obvious second play of the game's picked off. I mean, Carson wasn't ready and Ron didn't want to pull the trigger.
No, I'm just like scrolling Schefter's feed thinking of things to ask you. Do you think Jim Harbaugh coaches in the NFL next year?
No.
I don't know. Now that there's like smoke going around with things he violated.
Oh, things he violated. Bought a burger for a kid? Come on.
That's what it was?
Yeah. What are we doing here? Where we do this most ridiculous stuff.
That's not what it was.
Yes. Where we're basically telling boosters that they have to pay for kids to come to college and not just pay for their tuition, but like give them free cars and thousands and millions of dollars worth of stuff, and Jim Harbaugh buys a recruit a burger while they're out to eat, and that's a violation of recruiting? Come on.
Oh my God.
That's where we're at with college sports right now, that we're punishing that.
Michigan head coach, I missed this. Michigan head coach, he bought a recruit a hamburger at a local restaurant and was dishonest when the NCAA found the receipt. So that's a first level violation.
How expensive was this hamburger that we have to be talking about this? Like, that hamburger better have been worth like 30 or 40 bucks. We're talking here.
Yeah, like when I took you out and I thought I was buying you a $30 steak and it was 80 bucks.
Hey, I went there the other day. It was good.
Yeah. I still have gift cards.
Well, that's what I used, a gift card.
Oh, well, they're not on this yet, so I'm not going to say anything else. All right. Anything else you want to get off your chest?
Not that I can think of. Well, hold on. Who do you think should win MVP? Is it Patrick Mahomes?
In the NFL? Oh,
I feel like it should be Jalen. Then you look at Mahomes and he threw for 5,200 yards, and you're like, well, I guess maybe it is Mahomes.
I think they lost Tyreek Hill and Mahomes is still Mahomes. You can give it to Mahomes. Who? It's not like it's the NBA where it's like the whole all we care about is MVP. I don't know who won it last year.
Rodgers.
Oh yeah, see, he did. I don't remember that. Yeah, Mahomes only has one. Yeah, you can give it to Mahomes. Who's he gonna give it to?
Jalen Hurts. I think it's either Hurts or. Well, I think if Hurts wasn't hurt for those 2 games, I think it had to go to Hurts. And by the way, this is one thing I need to get off my chest. Everyone, if you think like, oh, well, you have a take like Rami, obviously with Josh Allen. Last year, I was hating on Jalen Hurts. I hate this idea that in media that your opinion can't change while players can. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jalen Hurts last year was not a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. I think he is this year. Like, not that I saw a bunch of people coming at me.
Well, this is what we were talking about, to interrupt you rudely. We were talking about how we say things that are right at the time with the information that we have. Yeah. And then when the information changes, it's like our opinion wasn't allowed to change.
Yeah. I don't get why that's a thing. So if you're
I also don't get why it's a big deal that I rooted against the Packers when they played the Dolphins.
You just wanted to save yourself from the heartbreak.
Yeah.
Sunday. I
would have saved myself a trip to Green Bay. I would have saved myself. The dinner was on my brother-in-law's company card, which he forgot at the bar. So all of a sudden now I'm buying $13 waters so I can sober up and get home.
You could have still gone to that game against the Lions, but you would have got to see your boy Jordan Love.
He asked me, he said, if the Packers would have been eliminated and I would have had tickets to this game, would you have come? And I said, to see Jordan Love play, I would have absolutely come. I would have probably sat outside and taken my shirt off to watch Jordan Love play.
I think you probably would have showed up with a $300 Jordan Love jersey.
Yeah, not only did I have to watch Rodgers, I had to hear Larrabee and Rock screaming in my ears the whole game. Oh, the thing with Larrabee was he was just like every possession, he'd be like, see, Lions, they're playing hard. It's 3-0, Wayne. Lions, people doubt them. What are you doing?
I think the thing that has to be the most inexcusable is the fact that you lost this game to Jared Goff, who, aside from one deep throw, couldn't throw the ball without nose diving it into the turf every single time he dropped back to pass. Because there were so many throws last night that should have been easy chain movers or gotten an extra 2 to 3 yards if he just puts it probably 2 to 3 feet higher off the ground. And instead he was nose diving everything. And yet that team found a way to beat the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, I would fire LaFleur.
Yeah, that's the other thing that you have to start talking about. Like, the ultimate goal is obviously to win a Super Bowl. And, I mean, we saw this. I don't know that we've seen this as much in the NFL, but we saw this with Dwayne Casey and Nick Nurse. Dwayne Casey.
Yeah, LaFleur's not winning you a Super Bowl. You think LaFleur can never do anything right the first time he does it? How do you think Matt LaFleur would handle the 2 weeks between the Super Bowl? He would fuck up media day. He would fuck up the travel. He would fuck up the route to the game. They'd probably be late.
Well, the thing that
he wouldn't know that there's a halftime show. They'd come out 15 minutes early, and someone would pull a groin. Quay Walker would probably push Beyonce.
Well, we've seen the Packers come out unprepared. We've seen them look like that, but they added undisciplined to that this week. Like, I don't understand where that came out of. This was a same sort of performance we've seen out of them the last couple of years in big games, except for this year they added in stupid penalties to just push it over the top.
You know, I've been to 2 games this year, and Quay Walker didn't finish either of them.
I think you're the problem, Bart.
In both games I went to, Buffalo and this one, he got ejected from.
Your own Packers games you went to, I think I was 1-1.
Well, I couldn't get anything with the Packers right this year. I was always swimming on the wrong current. But at least I don't have to eat a toy. I said I'd eat a toy if they made the playoffs.
Yeah, I think, let's see. I got to see them beat up on Baker Mayfield and lose to Derrick Henry. So, not great either.
Oh, so you're a midweek primetime guy.
Yeah, I went to 27 different sporting events last year. So, I go to the games. It was good to see you at the game because I know you don't usually go to the games.
Well, I have a podcast to do, Toby.
That is true. That is true. You should have done it live from Lambeau while the game was going on.
I've tried to do stuff like that, but the Wi-Fi is always a bitch. You know,
just have a big listener congregation out in the concourse of Lambeau.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to that hard, but Mike the painter's like, "Hey, are you here? I'd love to see you." I'm like, this isn't like Miller Park where I could just come down to 203 and see you.
Yeah.
I got to try to navigate. First of all, just trying to find someone at one of the bars outside Lambeau is impossible. Now I got to walk around the entire stadium to try to track you down. I would have loved to see him. We would have had to like randomly cross paths.
Yeah, Lambeau's a little harder to find people than Miller Park. That's for sure.
Well, it's good to see you, Toby.
Good to see you. I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Be well. Let's talk soon.
Assuming I'm welcome again.
You're welcome anytime. I send you StreamYards.
Yeah, I'm usually like lounging.
I'd have you on for this week, but it's a Tim Shea week, so.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll crash it still somehow.
All right.
All right. Talk to you later, man.
Thanks, Toby.
No problem.